Hello everybody, I wanted to go over this payback problem with you. With payback, we need to map out the cash flows and then calculate the cumulative cash flows to see when it toggles to be zero. In this particular problem, the cash flows every year are the same. So there's not something other than operating income adding back the non-cash expenses. Every year's the same. So you can do it with a simple fraction. We've been learning the way that will work for when the years are uneven. So we're going to do that way. Okay, so the initial investment is the 2860, and that's negative. And then every year for 5 years, we're going to have this positive cash flow, which is net operating income plus any non-cash expenses. So what would that be? So that's going to be the 487 plus depreciation. 572,123. So for every year, for 5 years, we think we're going to have positive inflows of revenues minus expenses of that. So cumulatively, at the very onset, I need to recover $2,000,008. After the first year, I've recovered $1,059,000. So how much is left to be recovered? I do the same thing for the next year. How much did I need to recover this year's cash flow? Now I need to recover $742 to get to zero, which is payback period. So let's do that all the way down. And the year of interest is the year when it turns from zero to positive, because zero's in the middle. When it goes negative and it finally hits zero, then it toggles to positive. So it takes 2 years plus a fraction of the next year. How much of the next year? $742,000 of the next year's cash flow I need to get to zero or payback. So I take a fraction. How much of year 3 do I need? I need 742 of next year. How much is next year? And so that gives us a fraction. How much of that year do I need before I hit zero? So the payback in years here would be 2 years plus 0.7 of year 3. So that's payback for the basic data. But they tell us now that the variable expense ratio is 50%, not what it is here. So what's the variable expense ratio? That's the ratio of this 1,100,000 to sales. So we can tell that's not exactly half. So we've got to change that 1,100,000 to be half of the 2,000,859, and then do this again. All right, let's do that. So now my cash flow each year is going to be the 2,859,123 times 0.5. So half of it is variable expense, so the other half will be contribution margin. And then subtract the 700,000 of advertising, salaries, and other fixed out-of-pocket costs. Ignore depreciation because we added it back before. And so now our cash flow has been changed. Our expenses are higher. Now they're half of $2,000,008 where they weren't that high before, so our profit is down. And so we once again do the same sort of process. We'd start with the negative and we add in that year's cash flow. And we get going. So now the payback is going to happen 3 years plus a fraction of the 4th year. So let's fix this here. So we need 6,750 and the cash flow. So almost, but not quite all of year 4 is needed. So it's going to be 3 years plus 0.92 of the 4th year. So let me know if you have questions.